Robert Johnson, Corporal, United States Marine Corps. I served from 2002 to 2006. Discharged honorably in 2006. So I grew up in southern Minnesota, like this small little farming town of like 300 people called Good Thunder. It's a real name, named after Chief Good Thunder, who was apparently like a prominent chief that was friendly with the Westerners as they moved out there. I don't know, it was a weird little town. But growing up out there, where like literally my nearest neighbor is like a mile away, and it would just, out in the middle of nowhere. My dad was military and he got out and he was like an airplane mechanic, and my mom was a receptionist for Taylor Corporation. I just grew up on a little hobby farm with like horses, goats, pigs, and chickens, and got to literally ride a horse to school when I was in middle school. So pretty awesome. If you ever rode a horse to school, it's definitely something you should try.
Are there any significant battles that you remember?
Okay, so the unit that I was with was infantry unit. We were stationed out of 29 Palms. So basically, since we were training in the desert, since we went to war in the desert, we had a lot more experience already with it, and like kind of more acclimatized towards it. So we were part of the spearhead that pushed up, and like one of the first vehicles to cross over when we invaded Iraq.
Okay.
So I guess the whole first 21-day battle all the way up through, too many pit stops along the way to really try and like talk about them, but like it's like El Nazaria, Al Qud, Al Qaim, Diyala Bridge Crossing, and then the big finale was when we tore down the statue in Baghdad.
Okay.
So that was my unit that tore that down. So
Any memory you will never forget, good or bad?
like a good memory that I'll probably never forget was when we did take over Baghdad.
Okay.
It was like this incredible feeling. Well, first of all, it was this huge screw up logistically, and they ended up dropping us off on the outskirts of the city, and then our armored vehicles that we rode up in ended up taking off to go fight in a different battle. And then there was just this infantry company just sitting there with no protection, and we just had to basically run and fight our way to the center of the city. So when we got there and it was finally over with, and we're like, holy crap, everything is like, we're alive, everything's like going well, and that was like a really big moment.
Do you think that serving was more physically challenging or emotionally challenging?
Definitely emotionally. Yeah, like I said a little bit ago, like the physical portions of it, you can definitely train your brain to get over that, and you'd be surprised what your body can actually do. But a lot of people break down emotionally just because, one, they don't think they can do it, or they're just really not really suited for it. Some people just don't really have the moral aptitude and the emotional aptitude to get through it, and it's kind of like, it's hard watching somebody who you thought was like guys I went to boot camp with, guys that I thought were like, man, these guys are really tough guys, like this is a guy I can't wait to serve with, stuff like that. And then being overseas, and they broke down in like a week, and it was just like, not that it was a bad thing that they broke down, but it was hard to see other people break down so easily and so quickly.
Do you think it was difficult adjusting back to your normal life after you came home?
I don't think there is like a normal life you can really come home to afterwards. It's not like you get to like stepping out and stepping right back in. It was definitely difficult until you find, for me, what I found was finding the next thing in your life to define who you think you are, where you want to be. So a lot of people, when they come back, they live on that they're veterans, and they sit with that, and they're just like, I was a veteran, I served my country, you owe me this, or blah, 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 and like, you need to give me this respect. But one thing the military teaches you is always to like adapt and overcome and keep moving forward. But a lot of these guys never really did that. They took what they needed from it at that point, and they had a place that they could kind of rest on, but they never really had the ambition to move past it. So a lot of the guys that furthered themselves in education or did anything besides just sit there and live at their parents' basement when they got out, moved on and were able to develop and grow. But it's definitely, there's an adjustment period, I think, where everybody, you're used to action like every day, not even that you're like out fighting a war every day, but even when you're back in the rear or something like that, like on the bases, like you get up every morning and you have a routine, and you have guys out running you, and you go to rifle range and you go to training, and that type of stuff just becomes part of who you are. So then when you get out, I can't really pick up a rifle and go start training in my parents' front yard. Like you gotta find new things to fill your void, and then definitely find a new part in your life to just define it. Like college is a big step for a lot of guys, and other parts are just finding like a good career or job choice kind of thing. So
Do you want to finish some of your pictures?
sure. Been trying to find like some fun ones here. All right, so this one is fun. So this picture here is how like the other units got to sleep. Once this was right before we were getting ready to head back stateside. But yeah, so like the other units got tents, like 1 to 2 man tents. They're really nice because it would be like freak like sandstorms all the time, or just even high winds and stuff like that, always throwing dust and debris. This is how my unit got to sleep. Just next to our packs outside, dealing with scorpions, ants, spiders. Camel spiders are real. They're huge. They're no joke. They literally are that big. They scream when they run, and they run faster than you. All right, they're no joke. So that's why we got to sleep every night. We got to roll out our rucks and sleep on the dirt. And everybody else got to sleep in these nice little tents. So it's kind of bullshit. Let's see. This is a School of Infantry. One of our final little like test kind of thing. They put you out on like this little mock mission of you're out in the woods. You have to go out and dig fighting positions and live out there in a fighting hole for like, I don't know, 5 or 7 days or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but a long time ago. This one is disgusting, but I'm gonna show it to you anyways because it's funny. So at that same place where all our rucks were out and everything, our whole base camp just got sick and got foot to mouth disease. So there's a picture of me throwing up.
Oh,
And
oh my god.
it was,
That's lovely.
yep. And we called that place, it was Camp Diwania, but we called it Camp Diarrhea. And basically everyone got that sick, but I was one of the first ones. And then after this, I just passed out and they had to put IVs in me because I just had so much fluid loss and the heat and all that. But yeah, very, very sick. And then I usually keep this one framed at my apartment because I think it's funny. This guy here that I'm pictured with, this was in my, this has been my 3rd tour. This is Camp Fallujah, and this guy is a lieutenant in the Army. And so he was out with this engineer group, and they had some Marines with them and stuff like that. He actually is the older brother of my best friend. They grew up down the street from me. Their whole family's Army, my whole family's Marine Corps. Anyways, the day before this, he got shot in the chest 6 times, but he had an armor plate on that actually saved him, and he showed it to me, and he was like, dude, you gotta see this. And it was like, holy crap, man, it's like, this is my next door neighbor, grew up with this guy. I mean, I've just happened to be there at the same time and fighting out on the same turf, so pretty crazy there. Just another, this is a platoon photo before we crossed over, and just kind of crazy, just looking back at this, it's all blurry, obviously, because cameras back then were pretty crappy, but,
Yeah.
you know, get an idea for it. This is how you patrol through the desert. You have to have a lot of dispersion because if the enemy decides to start dropping artillery or mortars on you or something like that, you're pretty much sitting ducks and you don't want to be close anyways. But we could be anywhere between, towards the back of that formation, and they have contact front. You literally have to sprint the entire way up there. And this is just a training exercise in Kuwait, but they would pull that crap all the time. And then I'd be back towards the end of it, obviously, there'll come people in front of me, and then yell contact front, and I have to sprint my ass like 500 yards up with all my gear for some phony thing just to test like my reflexes to it. So this one here is pretty crazy. They would take out a live animal, and then they would club it, and then teach you how to eat what parts of it can be eaten raw.
Whoa.
So that if you need to survive and you're out in the wilderness, that's essentially what you can do, the parts of the animal that you can eat, where you don't have to start a fire because a fire would obviously draw attention. So we went through and ate animals raw.
Do you still like keep in contact with the people that you were?
Yeah,
Okay.
majority of them.
That's awesome.
Most of the guys that I served with, I stay in pretty close contact with. There's a few that kind of drifted away, and you know, many that have passed. But a large portion of them that we get together probably like once or twice a year, hang out, and just try and even if we can meet up like somewhere in California or in Vegas or something like that, just kind of go to where people can go have fun and just kind of, you know, do something like all Marines get together and just drink a little bit.
What was it like training before?
So the training before and in boot camp is, I don't know if you know anything about like Marine Corps boot camp, but it's the hardest branch and it's basically, it's pure hell. I mean, they take you there because they want to separate you and completely break you down and make you feel like you're just absolutely worthless, and then they build you back up the way that they want you. So it is a little kind of like, there's a system to it, but they let you know that it's going to be a lot worse before it gets better. So boot camp is definitely straight hell. And then you go to School of Infantry after that, which is no better. And then you think, because you get to this point where you're like, oh, I graduated. I'm like, we're on top of the world. I'm a Marine now. I've got this. And then you go to school of infantry, and then you're just scum again.
What made you want to serve?
Well, my whole family's Marines.
Okay.
My father, my brothers, grandpa, uncles were all in the military. So I could have gone to college or done anything else, but I just kind of wanted to follow in the family tradition. And then knowing that there was a war kind of looming and that, all the 9/11 attacks were kind of recent, and wanted to be part of that, feeling like this kind of patriotic push towards it.
Any tricks that you picked up?
Yeah, I shoot ambidextrously now.
Okay.
Mainly because if you're going to do room clearing. So after I served during my third tour, kind of leading up to it, everything got really big into CQB, which is basically like, what SWAT,
Yeah.
police SWAT do, and they go in the house and do all that stuff. So military version of that. It's like one of the terms for it is MOUT, Marine Operations and Urban Terrain. And so they want us all to be trained on it so that we can clear houses and stuff like that. And you have to shoot ambidextrously because if you're trying to go around a doorway to this side and, you can pie it up pretty well. But if I'm trying to go to this side and I'm still using my right eye only, 3/4 of my head is exposed before my eye even sees the edge of the frame.
Yeah.
And then that's a pretty big target. So you learn to shoot left-handed, right-handed.
Do you have any advice for anybody who is thinking about serving?
Just know what you want to get into and definitely commit to it.